Hello. And intro to most of my instructional videos here is going to be just some basic things to keep in mind. One, I record and I record my videos and post them to YouTube so you can use closed captioning. I know I tend to talk a little fast, so hopefully this will help. You can see down at the bottom of the screen here what you can see in English what I'm saying. The other thing you can do with closed captioning is if you want to see it in another language, let's say you can read Ukrainian or you can read Spanish or Filipino. Oftentimes YouTube will allow you to do closed captioning in another language, so that can be helpful there. That's a resource there. The other thing as you're watching these is pause. Don't be afraid to pause the video. Write down what you're doing or write down your question and then restart it again. That's something that's a little bit different than in class because I know I do tend to talk fast. All right, as you're watching these videos, I want you to break it into 3 parts. Part number 1 is to watch that video all the way through, get an idea of where you're going. What are the expectations? What is it you're going to be doing? If possible, what's the end product? What's the end result you're putting there? What is it you need to have done? Second is to put together a notes, and that's where you're taking these on paper and pencil. I know a lot of you like to take notes digitally or want to take notes digitally. It's not the same. I really encourage you do it as your handwriting. It helps with making that connection between the brain and what's going on. And as you're taking notes, take notes on things instructions that I give you. Write out those instructions. If I give you hints or tips, write those down. If there's important measurement information or details, write those down. Also, questions, write down your questions. Words you don't understand, directions that don't make sense, things I don't demonstrate. Those are great. Write those off I would encourage you, write those off to the side in the margin. And then the next step, third time you watch the video, is go back, watch for things, do I answer the questions you have? Look for the answers to those questions. Because any questions that are left afterwards, that's when you can email me at my email address that hopefully will pop up here if I do it right. Or you can save them for when we're in class. All right, so hopefully these tips and instructions are going to be helpful, and I look forward to helping and supporting you. So let's go ahead and get started. And as I always say, let's go forth and do some great things. Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good aftermorning, good noon. Whenever you're watching this, I'm doing it in the afternoon, but hopefully I've got all my bases covered. All right, this is week 4, week 5. I think it's week 4. We're into this of the Tinkercad lessons. A couple of things I want to review in this first one here is just file names, copying and pasting things, and or duplicating your images. I also want to kind of talk about putting things together. So one of the first things is putting these 2 shapes together. I know in the last one we talked about, or I showed you how to adjust the plane, but with this, adjusting the plane isn't going to work. So again, there's a big difference between increasing the height of your cone and lifting it off of the plane. And for this one, I want to combine these 2 cones. So I'm going to start here by lifting it up off the plane. I want to rotate this. I want to rotate it 180 degrees and then kind of bring them together. Okay, you can see there it looks good, but I do want a little bit of that coming out of the top. I'm going to click out of that and I'm going to increase the height of that one. So see there, I increased the height, whereas this one I'm moving it in relation to the Y or X, Y, and Z, whatever. So I'm increasing it over the axis. Okay. Now, don't worry if they're not lined up quite perfectly. Again, that's where our alignment tools come in handy. Whoops. And I clicked out of this. So to get that alignment tool, I just selected all the shapes, went over here, and I aligned it that way. Oops, and there it went out again. See, sometimes even tech teachers have problems too. So I'll rotate that around. I want to go in there, and there, and there. Now I've got my shapes are aligned. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to review was just combining shapes, putting them together and adjusting those things. The other thing I want to do is I'm noticing a lot of you are, these file names are really cool. I will give you that. They're really cool. But in some cases, they're messing up when you're trying to share your images with me, in that especially if it's one of those lesson ones where like the pawn, it seemed like this year that the pawn and the wrench were the ones you shared. You did a great job of coming over here to the share or invite people to design with you, generating that link, copying, and then putting that link into Google Classroom. I don't know if Google Classroom's over there for you. Maybe it's over here. Maybe it's up there. I don't know. But what's going to be helpful, especially with that chess piece, is if you give it its own file name. So, we could call this pawn or chess template, whatever you want to call it, and then create your generate share link, so that some of the people at Tinkercad seems to think that's why I've been having problems opening up some of your work. Okay, so that's the, duplicating and copying and pasting. So one of the things we're going to get into, just remember here, you can highlight and you have a duplication piece. We touched on this a little bit way back in the keychain if you needed other letters, but this will give you an exact duplicate of that image. We're going to be using that in this week's lesson. You can also do some things where you can highlight that and you can copy and then go into another document or another template, another work plane, and paste it in there. So, and we're gonna actually do those in the next part of this lesson. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and start part 2. All right, welcome to part 2, where we're gonna start with I'm gonna go back to my gallery here, and first thing I wanna do is I wanna kind of show you the power of that duplicate. And I'm gonna see if I can get into this one, see if this is the one I have. I don't think, oh no, that's not the one I want. So I'm gonna go back to my thing here, and I'm gonna go back to learn. I'm gonna go back to lessons, and I'm gonna click on that chess pawn, and I'm gonna jump into it here. And so here I've got my chess pawn, and I'm going to, all I want to do is I'm going to go through here, and I want to make a duplicate of that chess pawn. So first off, I'm going to group it so it's all one color, and then I'm going to say, okay, I want to duplicate that, and then just bring it over. Now the main reason I want to do that is if we're going to make a chess set, you need to have the correct number of pawns to go and print out. And we could print out the exact number of chess pawns and print them out one at a time over and over and over again. Or we can simply just go, duplicate them, drag them out, and then adjust them on the plane. And I can adjust them on the print bed, and we've got them there. Now you might be asking me, chess pieces? I don't know anything about chess. I don't know how many pawns I need to have, blah, 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 blah. Well, that comes in, oh, I have another package here, sorry about that. We're gonna do some research. And the other thing, I just remembered. The other tool thing I wanted to show you along with duplicate was copy and paste. So let's say we want this piece, we wanna copy and paste this. So I'm gonna highlight it. I'm gonna hit the copy tool right here, or you can do Control-C, or you can even right-click on it. I believe, no, it's not gonna let you do the right-click. And so I'm gonna go back to my gallery, and I'm going to go here to this one that says chess template, and I'm gonna tinker it. If you don't have one that says chess template, that's okay. You can create your own. And I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these shapes, and I'm going to paste my pawn piece in here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ungroup that, and I'm going to take I'm going to go Control-Z. I'm just going to click on the sphere and get rid of that. And I'm going to end up using this as a template for the next part of this, for the rest of the pieces we're going to make. We're actually going to have you work on making some more pieces with this. So hence why I called it a template. So that's the copy and paste. All right, in the next part, we're going to talk about how to figure out how many pieces you need to get in the, how many pieces you need to have, what chess pieces are, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for part 3. All right, part 3 is research. Oh my gosh, you've all done this before. We're going to start by going to the great Google. And you can use Bing if you want. You can use whatever search engine you want. But really, we're just going to start by going to chess pieces. Okay. And so here we have icchess.net. You know what? I think that's a great, credible source. Oh, and then down here, Wikipedia, another good source. Independent of what some of your teachers may tell you, Wikipedia is a great resource to start with to get information from. So I'm just going to go start with here, ICchess and or iChess, and see here. So we've got the how chess pieces move and the definitive guide. Well, you know, that doesn't help me with. Oh, there's a picture right there. 6 different types. Okay. So that might help you. Of course, we get an add there. So this is, you know, a great way. There's 32 pieces total. Well, let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 pawns. So I need to have 8 different pawns. I need to make sure I have 8 pawns. The other thing, there's these pieces here. Well, you know what? Those pieces, so it looks like we've got kings, queens, rooks, bishops, knights, and pawns. So we know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 different pieces. So there's the names of our pieces. So I know we need, I've already got 1, so I got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I would note those down somewhere. I'm going to actually go to my Google Docs here, and you'll see I've already kind of started that chess pieces here. I've got this picture image here. I'm going to jump off your chess pieces. So I know I need a king, a rook, a queen, a bishop, bishop, and a knight. Let's see here. So there's 1, 2, and a pawn. Now let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you know, a neat way to keep track of that is to do it as an ordered or numbered list there. All right. Now I need to know what these pieces look like. I was given, when we looked at our research here, it gave us a little bit of an idea of what they might look like, a little bit, but you know, I want to get some better pieces. So here I could do an image search and then copy and paste an image here, or another way you can do that is go to Insert and Image and search the web, and you could just go chess pieces. And now you could just look through all of the pictures here, and let's say, you know what, okay, you know what, this one looks interesting. So let's just insert that in there and see what comes up. Okay, that's a good start, you know, or you can come back here and say, you know what, this gives me a good starting picture. I'm going to copy the image by right-clicking and then scrolling down here, and then I'm just going to paste it in there like that. Okay, it doesn't matter what picture you have as long as you've got something to look at as a frame of reference, or something to look at as you do what we're going to talk about in the next part of this. Okay, so got your starting point here. We'll jump into the next part. All right, welcome to part 4. Okay, so part 4 is where we're going to jump into, and I'm going to get some paper here to demonstrate this. So you're going to want to get some a pencil out, some paper. If you want to do it digitally, you can, but I really recommend doing this on paper and pencil. And what we're going to do is you're going to, and I'll take a picture of this and put it in as an example. But I'm going to ask that you work on sketching out what you want your pieces to look like. So comparing my sketch here to what's on the image here, I just used the image of what I see here and use that to generate my own pieces, what I want my own pieces to look like. So really what I did was I just kind of simply got out my pencil and paper and just started drawing. I started with the base and, you know, kind of said, okay, and, you know, I had a little kind of taper there and a taper there. I know it's kind of hard to see when I'm not facing the camera, but, and then I kind of went up like that. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, but, you know, there's kind of the pedestal there. And then I'm going to talk about the topper here. Okay, I'm going to go back to my other image here. But you can see how I made my own toppers based on what they look like here or in this image. The reason I'm having you sketch these out is it helps you start thinking about, okay, what do I want? How do I want it to look when I transfer it into Tinkercad? And thinking about that as I go back over to Tinkercad here. So I have my basic thing here. All right. Well, I'm going to start with the rook. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, let's see here, I'm going to go here, let's see here, I want to go to chess templates and I want to, that's not what I want, let's see here, okay, so what I'm looking for is how to use, I need to make a copy of this, so let's see here, let's go to, well, we'll just jump back into tinkering now. It's really easy to duplicate and all that. So starting out with the rook. Okay, so the rook, I am going to pull out a cylinder and I'm going to, I know that I can press W to adjust my work plane and let me rotate around things here and get a nice flat work plane up there to be able to, and I should have done that before I pulled my cylinder out, and bring the cylinder there. Now I'm all lined up there. And I'm going to start using that sketch to say, oh, you know what? I want to bring that down. And then I need to shrink it up a little bit. So I need to know the diameter of that, which is 12. Okay, I need to make this a, oops, that's the height. I want the diameter. I want to go shift, and I'm going to go shift 12. Oh, no, it does that on me here. So if I go shift here and resize, okay, let's do Control Z. See, even tech teachers have some issues here. So I'm going to bring that down to 12 and bring that down to 12 and adjust that to 12 there, 12 there. And there we go. Now I've got my topper. And I will align that later. But now the next thing, I'm going to adjust my work plane. Actually, what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to adjust my work plane. Now I want to do some holes. And that's where, you know, it's going to be kind of getting creative here of adjusting this down and making the hole as I look at making the crown. I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit. And think about, oh, is that really what I want? Is there something else? Oh, you know what? Maybe this tube here might be a better way of doing that. You know, because I can shrink, I can adjust that down, and put in, you know, to making this into. Let's see here. I'm going to raise that up a little bit, and I'm going to put this in here like so, and make it a hole, and combine it here. Let's see here, combine, and see if that, well, you know, that didn't really work out, but you know, so let's just, you know what, I'm going to abandon that idea. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Maybe with this one, maybe I'll try the parabola or something else. You know, another way you could actually look at doing this is abandoning that altogether and bringing in the box and shrinking it down. Let's see here. Let's go 1. I'm going to go 1, by 1. Oh, no, let's go 2 millimeters. And again, remember, we're working in millimeters here. Okay, so I got my 2, and let's bring that down to maybe a 3. And bring it up. And, whoa, that's really thin here. All right, let's, okay, 1 by 1. There we go. And that's on that, it's on the plane already. And bring it in here and look at it from the top view. You know, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, so then here's where the duplicating comes in. I can just go duplicate that piece and bring it over and start building my rook here. And let's duplicate that. Okay, looks good. And let's go duplicate that. Oh, I put it right around there, so I'm going to fit that. Oh, Control Z. I want to move it. Yeah, you know, so you may need to adjust the snap to grid to maybe down to 1 millimeter so you can work on getting it around. Oh. So you can fit it in there a little bit better. You know, and then just continue those around. And then you get your rook. Really, the purpose of this lesson is to challenge you to start thinking about doing your own, doing your own piece using the image here. Now, you may be saying, okay, I don't want that little center spike there. Well, then just bring in the box, use the hole. This is, again, part of the power of holes, is let's just bring that, and let's see, let's reshape it here, and bring that in there like that, and it's on the plane. And then when you go to group it, now you'll need to, I'm going to want to bring this in a little bit so that as I continue to put these pieces around here, the hole doesn't interfere with that. At some point you're going to see me speed up and make those and continue making the rook, but I'm not going to make you watch the whole entire thing at this speed. So I'm going to speed things up and finish off the rook here. Okay, so there I've got my rook set up. Maybe I want to bring out that tube again and again resize it to the diameter 12 by 12, and it brings it down, and then shrink that height a little bit more and bring it over and group it a little bit. Now that's the nice thing. I may want to group those and then come in and group the pieces there. You may want to find that you want to group. Now you see there's the holes gone, but I got a little, looks like I got a little bit of a, I didn't quite get the tip. So let's go Control Z, and it looks like the hole's down a little bit. So I can go back and clean that up a little bit. Just raise that, and maybe raise that up just a tad here, and then slide that over. You may want to group this a little bit, align it, or not group it a little bit, align it a little bit, but there you can see there's a rough kind of start to my rook, and I'm just going to put the work plane back there. There's my rook. So I can then go, you know what, okay, great, I got to start there, there's my rook. And now I'm going to work on the next piece. So I'm actually going to undo some things here, and let's see how far does it let me go back. And okay, I'm going to get back to here. This is where, again, that was my rook. I'm going to then, I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, or not duplicate it, escape. I'm going to copy it and turn it into my next piece, which would be my king, okay? Or the horse one, the knight. Okay? So your task for this lesson is to make the other pieces of the chess set. Now, I know you've only got a week to do this, and this is going to be a long drawn out, it could be long and drawn out. So the expectation is going to be that you only make one piece. You don't have to make, if you want to make all of them, you want to make your own chess set, that's fine. I think that's great if you want to take the time to do that. But I'm only going to ask you to make one piece because I want to see that you can duplicate like I did with the rook and like I did with the rook. You can duplicate the pawn and change it, duplicate it, and use that as a formation or as a foundation for your piece. So I can't wait to see some of the chess pieces you make, and some of those. One thing I will tease with you is I have been thinking about if this is something you want to print out, and then these designs are yours. Once I'm able to get back into the building, I will be offering to print things out for people. So let me know how I can help support you. This is going to be a little bit more challenging. I will put together, I'll remake the rook a little bit and have that as an example for you to look at as well. All right, so as always, let me know what questions you have. Let me know how I can help support you, and go forth and do great things. Okay, one thing I did forget to mention at the end of the last video, but I do want to put it here, is there's going to be some other recordings of me making the other pieces, making these other pieces here for you. They're going to be sped up so you can just kind of see them, but not have to worry about listening to me talk and watch a long video. So they're going to be, I'll show you the other pieces, kind of walk through how I designed them, the toppers as I'm calling them, but they're going to be at a sped up rate. So just be looking for that. They'll be attached to the assignment in Google Classroom.